everyone, it's Mel with the Quilting Room with Mel, and I am back with another sewing machine demo for you. Today we are looking at the Singer 306W. This machine was made in Wittenberg, Germany. It's believed to be made in the mid-50s between 1952 and 1956. There's not a lot of information about the machines that came out of Wittenberg. So an exact date is a little more difficult to find on these. I do have the original manual for this machine. And I'll just read what it says there on the front. I find it kind of interesting. It says, the most versatile sewing machine ever made for home sewing. And this was one of the first zigzag machines that Singer produced. It was actually called a swing needle. It doesn't have the same zigzag mechanism that we're used to on more modern machines. The other thing you might notice is it's on a treadle. The machine originally came with a motor. They were produced with motors. But it was a simple bolt-on, bolt-off motor. My husband is a treadler, so he unbolted the motor, put it on the Singer treadle base, and it is now a treadle. And you use all the same functions that if it had a motor. So we can do reverse, we can do the decorative stitches, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. So the only thing different between the machine now and the way it came out of the factory is the fact that the motor's been taken off. There are some specialty items with this machine. The first one we're going to look at is the bobbin case. Okay, let me focus there. Okay, the bobbin case is not a standard Singer bobbin case. It takes a specialty one. There are a few Singers out there that do take specialty ones, and this is one of them. They can be found online. They are a little pricey compared to a class 15 or a class 66 bobbin case. The other thing is the needle. Most machines take 15 by 1s. This takes a 206 by 13 needle. So if we look right here, I'm going to bring us in. Okay. The needle on the right hand side is a 15 by 1 needle. Okay. The needle on the left hand side is the 206 by 13. And you can actually see that on the needle package right there. It says 206 by 13. Okay. So, when this machine was produced, it came with this little box called Fashion Disc. And if you can see on the box, it says made, and that is a 306 on there. It says model 306. I'm going to open it up. Okay. And there are the discs. And these make your decorative stitches. If you look on that side, that is the type of stitch it makes. Now, when the machine was made, back in the 50s, it came out with 6 discs. So there are 5 in my box, and the zigzag one is on the machine, and that is where that one lives all the time. The nice thing about these is even though the machines from the 1950s, only 6 different pattern discs were produced. As the years went on, Singer made more machines that use those discs, and they work on this machine. So I have a Merit. If you are a faithful follower of the blog, you've seen my Merit before. This is the same cams that I talked about with that machine. So all 30 of the cams I have for my Merit work on my husband's 1950s Singer sewing machine. I'm going to take a quick moment, set up. We're going to wind a bobbin. I'll thread the machine. And then, because I really want you to see this machine in its true form action, I am going to switch out. My husband, my normal cameraman, is going to take the seat at the sewing machine. I'm going to become the cameraman, and he is going to show you how this machine actually works, because I will be the first to tell you I am not an expert treadler, but he certainly is, and I want you guys to see just how great this machine works. Okay, let's wind a bobbin. I have my thread. I'm running off of a cone, and I am using the cone holder wooden spool setup that I've talked about on the blog. There's also a video here on my YouTube channel of how that works, with a link to the blog post if you want to make your own. So just letting you know, when I post about it, it is stuff that I actually use. I have my thread through the first hook up here, and just like a standard vintage Singer sewing machine, there's a little wheel down here we go through. I'm going to go ahead and thread my bobbin. And this is a specialty bobbin. It takes a special case. It's going to take a special bobbin. I'm just going to get my thread through that opening there. Of cutting the end. It always works so much better when the camera is not on. Kind of like threading a needle. Alright, got it in there. We're going to come up here. You see that little notch right there on the bobbin? There is a little dimple on this spoke up here that they lock into. So I'm going to slide it on there, and then I'm going to move that around, and it'll just snap into place. And then push that down so it locks in. Make sure my clutch is loosened. So I have to start it with the hand wheel so I can figure out which way my feet go. I'm going to get it started. Cut that off. And because it's not a smooth, when I treadle, I'm going to hold the thread over here just to keep the bounce out of the thread while I treadle. And you can watch it feed. You can tell how quiet it is. Excellent leg exercise. We're going to do a little free motion quilting after a bit. You can get 19 miles in one of those quilted casserole cozies that I have on the blog right now. And it pops out just like that. Cut. I'm going to thread the machine up. You are not going to install the bobbin on camera. The downfall of this machine, no matter if it is in a treadle cabinet or a cabinet with the motor on, in order to put the bobbin in, you have to lift the machine up. Okay? This doesn't come off real well. It hits on the side. It's a nightmare. So we are not going to do that. I am going to attempt to thread this. So we have tension disc right here. Okay. We come up all the way around so it catches there. Down through this guide. And it's pretty much like a regular Singer sewing machine. If you've threaded any Singer sewing machine, this will be somewhat familiar to you. Two guides here to snap in. One guide here. And this machine threads front to back. If you watched a lot of my videos A lot of my neckies and stuff run left to right, and front to back is what we are used to with modern machines. So it slides right in. Make sure you get that guide. It kind of wants to pop out up here by the needle, but once you have it threaded, and then your thread just underneath. After you put the bobbin in, bring your thread up. And when we come back, I'm going to do a little bit of sewing for you, and then I'm going to hand it off to my husband and let him show you all the good beauties of this machine. Okay, I am going to show you how to straight stitch, because that is really all I can do on this machine. This is our stitch length selector. It's like any of the others that I've shown you in the past. You use the knob over here to loosen it up, and then you can go down, up. Remember, on singers, the numbers over here are, I don't know if you can see that. Let me move the light over just a little bit. Okay. Let the camera focus in. Remember, these numbers are not in millimeters. Like some of the machines I've shown you, these are stitches per inch. So the smaller the number, the longer the stitch on this. And this machine does have reverse, and I will show you treadling in reverse. So I'm going to go back, reset that between a 12 and a 25, and tighten that back down. Okay, and now we'll do a little sewing. Get the light back out of my face here. If you don't have to reach up and do the hand wheel, I do, because I need to know which direction I'm going. So I have my tails held down with 2 fingers back here. I'm going to start it with the hand wheel just so I can feel how that pedal is supposed to go. And once I get the feeling, then I'm just going to go. And I'm straight stitching, and when I'm ready to reverse, all I have to do is push that up, just like any other machine, and it will sew backwards and back down, and I'm back to the front, back to forward stitching. There are a lot of people out there that treadle, and that is the only way they sew. And I'm not talking just about like the Amish people who don't use electricity. There is a huge following of people-powered sewing machines, and that's treadles and hand cranks. People of all ages, men, women, all different backgrounds. They find it relaxing. They find it more precise. So to show you the rest of the machine, I'm going to step out and become the cameraman, and my husband's going to become the sewer.
Hey, good evening, everybody. This is Paul, and Melissa asked me if I'd help to show off this machine a little bit. And one of the things that she didn't get a chance to illustrate when she was doing her straight stitching was the fact that this machine has a needle left and right position as well as your center. This lever here, move to the left, moves your needle over to the left. And you see we're sewing down on the left side of the feed dog. The needle back up into position, go back into the middle, and we're back right dead center. And we do the same as we go to the right hand side. Now when that needle is in the 0 position here, this is what we're going to start our zigzags. And with the needle in this 0 position here, that gives us a straight stitch needle left, right, and center. To go to a full zigzag, we set back to the center, and this sets the width of your zigzag. The step between the zigzags, the same as on any other Singer machine, it's always with the stitch length, sets the step distance between each stitch. When we start here, we should go into a zigzag. If I want to make it wider, I'll just move it up. I want to make it narrower. If I choose now to go to a needle left or right position, what it will do will give me from the center position to the left hand side, or from the center position to the right hand side. So you end up with a half a zigzag, half a stagger over. Now we're zigzagging on the left hand side. Now we're zigzagging on the right hand side. And we're back in the center with our zigzag. Now, with the zigzag cam is on any other machine, let's widen that out, stay in the center. We're going to go to a satin stitch. As you can see from the testament of my knots, I don't mess with a satin stitch very often. I'll give this one more try. Find my threads. I'll use the stop knob to slowly shorten up my stitch. And slow down the feed. And now we should be making a fairly nice satin stitch. Okay, now that we've played with the zigzag, I'm going to show you how to switch the cams around, and we're going to play with what I call a scallop. I'm not sure if that's what the true name for that cam is or that stitch is, but that's the one we're going to show next. So, in order to change the fashion disc or cam or whatever you'd like to it be called, to loosen the center knob, clear off, lift this lever, slide that off. There's a slot that lines up with a pin right here. I don't know if you can see the pin. There you go. All right, then we'll take the new cam, set it up on there, lift the lever, get the pin line down, put the knob back on. These discs, doesn't matter if you put them on with the emblem facing you or facing away from you. There's not a front and back on the discs. And we're ready to give this a try. Lengthened it out just a little bit more. Same here as with the zigzag. If you want your scallops to be longer or wider, you move it to a wider like you would a zigzag. The stitch length regulates the length between the points. You can see on these of the practice ones I did a minute ago. It regulates this distance here with the number of stitches that it takes for it to make a full loop. If the stitches are longer, these points will be farther apart, because it still makes the same amount of stitches within the swing of that arc. And like Melissa told you earlier, you can put any of the flat cams in here. she's got a Merit that's about 30 different cams with it, and I can run any of those in this machine just fine. At the time this machine came out, they only had 6 of them, or they only wanted to give you 6 of them. So now we are going to back up a little bit. I'm going to set this back to 0. We're going to stay in the center. We're going to change the feet and put on a hopping foot. And it's just like changing any other foot. Loosen up the heel, take it off. It wants to fall off. Get it out of the way. Take our hopping foot. You can see I use one of the plastic hopping feet because it fits nicely on all of our machines. In fact, I had to rob it off of my 1895 Singer so that I could put it on here to do this demonstration, because I had been doing some quilt work with it. Now, I will push the needle down through, pick up the thread. Come on. There we are. We have both our halves underneath. Some people like to have them on top. That works great to start with, but when you start in the middle of a quilt, you end up with them on the bottom anyway. After your first stitch, they're both on the bottom side. It doesn't really matter. Now, I'm going to cut this open. We've been practicing with it. We're just going to keep the same piece of scrap material. I'm going to throw a piece of batting in between there. And we'll just do a little bit of playing. Throw that in there, kind of flatten it around. Get the bugs out. Okay, now I like to wear gloves when I do this. It's just much easier on my hands. The gloves I wear, these are some can't cut gloves. It's got the rubber on them. Mechanics gloves, quilter's gloves, anything that fits comfortable within your pocketbook and it's got the rubber on the fingers works marvelous. I'm kind of a cheapskate, so the cheaper I can get them, the better I like them. And I managed to pull my needle and thread my needle. So give me just a second. And in the process of threading the needle, I got thinking about it and realized that I had not said anything about dropping the feed dogs on this machine. And that makes it really much easier to do free motion quilting on. This machine has a knob on the bottom that you unthread. When you unthread the knob, it lets the feed dogs drop down within the bed and they don't drag on the presser foot. We're going to drop our presser foot down. We'll make a couple of stitches. That kind of pinned us down. Now we're just going to kind of do a little bit of meandering around just to get warmed up. And you can see she does a really nice, pretty smooth, easy movement. No problem in moving around. The use of the gloves makes it much easier for me to hold on to the material without my hands bothering me so much. More in depth here. And like Melissa was talking earlier, I have actually got about 19 miles worth of treadling on one of the casserole covers that we was working on. We happened to have the new app on the phone that kept track of all of that. We thought this ought to be kind of neat to see. I didn't realize in the process I was going to make myself hot and tired and sweaty. But you can see he does a really sweet job. We can speed up if we want. kind of wander around a little bit. Or you can slow back down and just kind of take a leisurely pace. It doesn't really matter that you go real fast. As long as your timing of your feet pretty much match the timing that you move your fingers around. It makes it really hard to tell the difference in the length of your stitch, as long as you keep everything matched up. Well, that about does it. Let's see if we can't manage to pull off a little bit of a flower. I kind of screwed that one up, but it's alright. It really doesn't matter. It's all in fun. Oh, I hope you guys enjoyed the tutorial on that machine. You see, I need a little more practice on my flowers, but that's what paper is made for. Thanks, guys.
Alright, everyone. This is Mel again. Don't forget to find me on Facebook at Home Ec with Mel. Remember to hit the subscribe button below so that you never miss out on another video. And we'll see you again next time. Bye, everyone.